Just as promised in the previous risky video, today I am standing in front of an industrial forge with temperatures measuring over 1000 degrees Celsius. Inside that roaring furnace is not a metal bar or a weapon, but a glowing red egg with lava-like veins pulsating like a living heart. Welcome to the craziest and most dangerous challenge ever on my channel, simulating the hatching and raising of a real-life Charizard. I had to trek to the mouth of an extinct volcano to find this egg, where remnants of geothermal energy still lingered. Unlike normal pets or even Godzilla, a fire dragon's egg requires maximum heat to activate life. If I turn off this furnace for even a minute, the embryo inside will die from the cold. I have been stationed here for 3 days and 3 nights, sweat soaking my clothes and my face burning, just waiting for this moment. And then, the miracle happened. After 72 hours of continuous heating, the shell began to show large cracks, making a snapping sound like dry wood breaking. A blast of compressed hot air escaped, flaring up the fire in the furnace. From the ashes, an orange creature stepped out. It stood on its hind legs, big round eyes looking bewilderingly at the world. And most notably, its tail was burning with a real flame. That is Charmander. He looks incredibly cute and harmless, like a toy lizard stepping out of a cartoon. But don't let that appearance fool you. The flame on his tail is not magic. It is a complex biological barometer measuring his health and emotions. If this flame goes out, Charmander dies, but if it flares up too high when he's angry, he could incinerate this entire room in the blink of an eye. My challenge is not just to raise him, but to survive living with him. To bring Charmander home, I couldn't just stuff him in a dog crate or a normal fish tank. Based on an analysis of this species' natural habitat, I needed to build a complex tropical ecosystem right in my living room. Turning my house into a miniature nature reserve, I bought a specialized heat-resistant tempered glass tank used for laboratories and divided it into 3 distinct climate zones. The first zone is a white sand desert with large rocks and cacti, where Charmander can dig to sharpen his claws. The second zone is a dense tropical forest with ferns and dry bark, where he can climb and hide when he feels insecure. And the most important zone, the heart of this tank, is an artificial volcano located in the center. Beneath this mountain, I installed a high-power heating system and infrared lights to maintain the temperature consistently at 60 degrees Celsius. I even created a fake lava flow using boiling water dyed with food coloring. When I released Charmander into his new home, his reaction was fascinating. He cautiously walked on the sand, using his tail flame to light the way. He climbed up the artificial volcano and curled up there, looking incredibly satisfied. I discovered a very strange behavior. He frequently soaked himself in his drinking water bowl, but not to cool off. He dipped his burning tail near the surface to boil the water, turning it into a private bubbling jacuzzi. It turns out, Charmander hates cold water. He only likes things as hot as himself. Regarding his diet, I started with a protein-rich menu. I tried giving him an expensive piece of raw Wagyu steak. He sniffed it, then suddenly spewed a small stream of fire from his mouth, sizzling the meat to perfection before swallowing it whole. Next came strawberries and watermelon. He did the exact same thing. Charmander refused to eat anything that hadn't been sterilized by fire. This is quite convenient since I don't need to cook for him. But it also means I have to install the most sensitive fire alarm system in the house. After 2 weeks of careful care, Charmander started growing fast and revealing his wild predatory instincts. He was no longer content sleeping in the plastic volcano. He began scratching the glass and looking outside with longing eyes. I decided it was time to train him for real combat. I took him to the backyard where I had prepared some training dummies. But real trouble struck faster than I expected. The area where I live is near a dense forest, and Charmander's scent attracted natural predators. One afternoon, while I was filming Charmander practicing his running, a long dark shadow slithered over the wooden fence. It was a wild Arbok, a giant purple cobra over 3 meters long with deadly venom. Unlike the harmless caterpies Charmander used to bully, Arbok was a true monster. The snake hissed menacingly, flaring its patterned hood, and lunged to attack. Its target wasn't Charmander, it was me. I fell backward, dropping the camera. Just as the snake was about to strike my leg, a small orange shadow dashed in between. Charmander, despite being 1/10 the size of his opponent, bravely rushed in to protect his owner. But the power gap was too great. Arbok easily wrapped its body around Charmander, squeezing tight to suffocate him. I heard bones cracking and the pained cries of the little dragon. I grabbed a branch intending to rush in and save him, but a terrible wave of heat suddenly burst forth, forcing me back. From within the snake's coil, Charmander's body glowed brightly like a miniature sun. The flame on his tail shifted from orange-yellow to blue, a sign of extreme temperature. Anger and the desire to protect me triggered the evolution process. A deep growl echoed, tearing through the air. Arbok's grip was broken. Standing there was no longer the little lizard, but Charmeleon. He was taller, with rippling muscles, dark red skin, razor-sharp claws, and a hard horn growing on his head. Charmeleon showed no mercy. He grabbed the snake's tail and slammed it hard against the ground, then spewed a vortex of fire that incinerated the enemy's scales. The Arbok panicked and fled into the forest, leaving behind a patch of scorched grass. However, the price of power was a change in personality. After evolving, Charmeleon was no longer an obedient pet. He became sullen, arrogant, and distant. He looked at me with cold eyes, as if saying I was a weakling who needed protection, not his master. He refused to come inside, claiming the backyard as his own territory. He used his claws to shred the patio furniture, burned down the wooden fence, and spent all day taking his anger out on the punching bag I bought him. He was like a rebellious teenager going through the worst puberty phase. He felt this backyard, and my care, was a cramped cage holding back his power. He often sat on the roof, staring toward the distant mountains on the outskirts of the city, where the roars of wild beasts echoed every night. The breaking point came on a stormy night, with thunder crashing. I heard glass shattering and metal bending. Running to the backyard, I saw the reinforced cage completely destroyed. Charmeleon had run away. The tracks left behind were scorched footprints leading straight toward Black Rock Mountain, known as the dead zone of the most dangerous wild Pokémon. I frantically grabbed my pickup truck, flashlight, and medical kit, rushing into the pouring rain to find him. I knew he was strong, but blind arrogance would get him killed. After 2 hours of grueling climbing, I found him in a rocky valley, but the scene before me made my heart stop. Charmeleon was cornered by an Onyx, a massive 15-meter rock snake monster. Its body made of the hardest granite on Earth. This was the overlord of this mountain. Charmeleon had foolishly challenged it to prove himself. Charmeleon unleashed fire, but his flames only blackened Onyx's rocky shell. In return, every whip of Onyx's tail was like a 1,000-pound weight slamming down. Charmeleon was exhausted, gasping for air, one eye swollen shut. Onyx roared, coiled up, and lunged like a derailed train, smashing Charmeleon into a limestone cliff. Landslide and debris completely buried my friend under a massive pile of rubble. No, I screamed, rushing toward the pile of rocks despite the danger. Onyx turned to look at me, its soulless eyes flashing with murderous intent. I thought I was about to die, but I didn't care. I just wanted to dig through that rubble to find Charmeleon. But the moment my hand touched the first stone, a wave of molten heat transferred through my glove. The ground began to shake violently. The rocks pinning Charmeleon down started glowing red and melting into liquid lava. A roar echoed, not the roar of a beast on the ground, but the scream of the sky. From beneath the earth, a spiral pillar of fire shot straight up into the heavens, dispelling the dark clouds and the storm. A pair of massive wings, teal on the inside and fiery orange on the outside, tore through the night. Charmeleon was gone. Floating there in midair was Charizard, the ultimate form of the fire dragon species. Failure and the will to survive had unlocked his final potential. Charizard didn't attack immediately. He flew high up, gathering energy in his mouth. His fire was no longer yellow or blue, but white, the temperature of the sun. He dove down like a meteor, unleashing a blast burn attack on Onyx. The giant monster's super hard granite shell melted in an instant. Onyx screamed in agony as its body turned into a river of magma. It hastily burrowed deep underground to escape, ceding the throne to the victor. Charizard landed. The ground beneath his feet sizzled. I stood frozen, both amazed and terrified. He was now too big, too powerful, and too frightening. Would he still remember me? Or would he see me as a weak creature in his way? Charizard turned his head, his sharp eyes staring straight at me. He stepped forward, each footstep shaking the ground. I closed my eyes, preparing for the worst, but then, I felt a blast of hot, humid air on my face. Charizard lowered his massive head and gently nuzzled my chest, making a purring sound in his throat like a giant cat seeking affection. He was still my Charmander, just bigger. But every victory comes with a price. After the moment of adrenaline, Charizard stumbled and collapsed. The forced evolution and excessive energy use had drained him completely. Worse, we were on a high mountain peak where night temperatures dropped below freezing. And the storm hadn't fully passed. The flame on Charizard's tail, his source of life, was fading, flickering like a candle in the wind. If the flame went out, he would die. I panicked, searching for a lighter, but it was wet. I couldn't carry him down the mountain immediately because he was too heavy. And my car was too far away. I had to save him. I took off the thick jacket I was wearing and wrapped it around his tail to block the wind. I frantically broke surrounding dry branches and piled them up, but wet wood wouldn't burn. In desperation, I looked at my camera gear bag. Inside was a $5 camera, lenses, and spare batteries. Everything was plastic and metal, flammable. Without a second of hesitation, I poured gasoline from a broken lighter onto the gear and sparked a fire using the electrical discharge from a spare battery. The fire roared to life. I burned my entire YouTube career to keep this friend warm. I sat there all night, hugging Charizard's tail tight, using my own body to shield his life flame, whispering words of encouragement into his ear. The next morning, as dawn broke, the storm had cleared. The warmth from the expensive fire and my body had saved him. Charizard opened his eyes, the tail flame roaring back to life. He looked at me, and I looked at him. In that moment, a deep understanding formed between us. I realized a painful truth. I couldn't take him home. The wooden house in the suburbs, the tiny backyard, the city regulations, none of it could contain a fire dragon nearly 2 meters tall that could fly. If I forced him back, he would die of confinement, or accidentally burn down the neighborhood. But I also couldn't leave him here alone. We had been through life and death together. So, I made the craziest decision of my life. As soon as we got down the mountain, I sold my house, I sold my sports car, sold all my furniture. I used all that money to buy a massive semi-truck container. I renovated the rear container into a mobile dragon nest, armored with heat-resistant plating and equipped with an industrial heating system. I bought a world map and marked the wildest lands and majestic volcanoes. I decided I wouldn't lock Charizard up anymore. He and I would travel the world together. We became drifters, homeless wanderers who owned the sky. By day, Charizard flies freely above the clouds, leading the way while I drive below. By night, we stop in desolate canyons. He uses his tail to start a campfire and roast food for both of us. We will search for other strong opponents, legendary Pokémon in new lands for him to train and satisfy his thirst for battle. I am no longer a pet owner or a YouTuber sitting in an air-conditioned room. I have become a true Pokémon trainer, living a dusty and dangerous life of adventure. Maybe tomorrow we'll hit a storm. Maybe the truck will break down. But I have no regrets. Because when I see Charizard spreading his wings against the crimson sunset, I know this is where we belong. Thank you for watching this insane journey. If you're seeing this video, it means I found Wi-Fi at some gas station in the middle of the desert. Now Charizard is growling for food. I have to go roast a whole cow for him. See you in the next land, where maybe we'll search for a mysterious blue egg at the bottom of the deep sea. Who knows? The adventure has only just begun.